We have a real trilogy here. AEW Fight Forever is beyond saving. And why AEW Fight Forever needs to be stopped, like it was some kind of like monster or like, terrorist or something. I don't know. That one's weird. That's a weird title. And then the failure of AEW Fight Forever 1 year later. So we got some real hot takes here from Top 10 Wrestling. This is a channel with about 250,000 subscribers. And each of these videos has about 100,000 views, which is more than any of their other content. So they really went in on this, although I highly doubt they've even played the game. I suspect that they are hardcore WWE fanboys. I'm just going off experience. I've watched these videos countless times before. I've been down this road many, many times. I kind of know what I'm going to hear. But I'm going to listen to it anyways. I'm going to try to keep an open mind. Although the subject is very sore for me as a person who really put a lot into the community of this game. And really tried to make something out of it and tried to generate good feelings about AEW Fight Forever. But here we are. It's the post-mortem. The game is officially gone now, by the way. It's over, guys. I mean, it's not gone. It's available at a very cheap price, and it's a great experience. If you want to play AEW Fight Forever, I highly recommend it right now. Buy one of the editions with all the downloadable content included and have yourself a blast. It's got a good 40 to 60 hours worth of gameplay in it, and it's a quite enjoyable experience. Don't plan on going online with it. Online has been dead. It's been DOA. So it's never been an online community whatsoever. But as a single player experience, it's not that great. But as a couch co-op game, if you got 3 friends or even just one IRL person that you can play with, this is one of the best couch co-op experiences that have been released last year or probably even this year. It's a very good experience. And if you have 3 friends, you're going to have yourself a blast. It's a good night's entertainment at the very, very least. But apparently, as of, 6 months ago, it was beyond saving. Everyone wanted it to be something more than it was. And that's like the big problem with AEW Fight Forever is the expectations were so high. And then the delivery was like, it wasn't WWE 2K. Everybody wanted an AEW themed WWE 2K. And they didn't get it. And then they just couldn't handle what the game was. They couldn't handle the very simple experience that it was. And they didn't appreciate the things that the developers spent time on and that AEW Games insisted upon, which were very good for casual players. But for hardcore players, it was sorely lacking in the things that hardcore wrestling game enthusiasts want, which are not the things that I want. I'm not a hardcore wrestling game enthusiast. I'm just a simple AEW fan. And for me, it was a great experience. It's not something I still play, but I played it for over 100 hours. I really enjoyed it. All right, let's watch AEW Fight Forever is Beyond Saving and see what we have to say about that.
AEW Fight Forever recently released their Season 3 DLC with new wrestlers and new maps. Now I am someone who actually likes Fight Forever gameplay wise and I can have fun playing it, but I have the same criticism of everyone else that this game does not have enough content and they aren't quick enough at releasing new content.
Okay, all right. So right off the bat, look, I actually don't believe that he enjoys the gameplay. I just don't. Maybe he wants to come on the show and he wants to talk about and tell me how much he's played the game and display to me that he has a knowledge of this game. But I just think that's bad faith. I think he's just yapping. I don't think this is even... Can we even tell if it's him? Is that even his username on this? I'm so skeptical at this point of people that criticize this game because there was a lot of views in talking about AEW Fight Forever. Because not a lot of people do it. Everyone talks about WWE 2K. Everybody ignores Fight Forever. So when somebody makes a video about it, especially a big YouTuber, it just blows up because you got a lot of people out there that have opinions and want to talk about it and want to jump down the comment section, right? There's plenty of content. It's not a live service game. The main flaw of AEW Fight Forever is that it's not a live service game. WWE 2K is a live service game that will literally ask you for hundreds of dollars a month to play it at a high level. AEW Fight Forever asked you for $0 a month. It doesn't want any of your money. It doesn't want any of your time. A lot of people will pick on the story mode, but the story mode is actually quite good. for a single player. And for multiplayer, it's a blast. Especially, but you got to be an AEW fan or a wrestling fan or want to know about AEW. If you don't care, especially if you hate AEW, people who don't like All Elite Wrestling should probably stay away from this game. But they don't. They make reviews about it. All right, let's carry on. I'm just waiting for the guy to out himself as a WWE guy for life and someone who just doesn't like AEW. The only reviews that I can stand of this, the only people that I like who do this, when I've watched a lot of these, are guys who actually can display a knowledge of All Elite Wrestling and show their fandom. And then I'm like, oh yeah, you're fine. All your criticism is good. Yeah, I usually agree with everything they have to say, and their video doesn't make me upset. Guys who are like, I just don't like All Elite Wrestling. And like, why are you playing the video game then, dude? You are so not the target audience. Of course you're not going to enjoy the game. You don't like the wrestling.
And as a result, like many others, I got bored of the game, and I have periods where I dip in and out of playing the game.
He got bored of the game and he dips in and out. I mean, yeah, it's not a game that will keep on. This is not a forever game. This is a game you're going to play maybe intensely for a week and then never play again. That's what it is. Remember, there's a lot of video games like that in the world. There's a lot of classic video games that have been praised for centuries that are like that. Like, after you beat Final Fantasy VII, do you keep playing the original Final Fantasy VII? I mean, some of us do, but a lot of us have beat Final Fantasy VII or come close to beating it, and we never went back. Does that mean we say it's not a bad game and it didn't do very well and this game betrayed us or robbed us? No. It was a fine experience. You had your time with it. It was enjoyable, and then you moved on.
Game before I get bored of it again. So I thought I'd come back to Fight Forever and try out the new Season 3 DLC, see if it's worth it, and maybe if there's any chance it can help save this game, or if there's anything at all that can save this game. Like and subscribe, and let's get into it. So first thing first, I went right to the PlayStation Store. Yes, I'm still on the PS4.
Oh, this is riveting footage, dude.
I bought myself the Season 3 pass as well as the Season 2 pass.
Are you
as
kidding
I
me
haven't
with this?
got that, and I earned myself a cheeky outdated.
Are you like absolutely for real right now that you thought buying like a couple of characters was going to transform this experience? Like, there's no way this is genuine. There's no way he genuinely thought coming back to this game, buying a couple of characters, buying like Tony Storm and Swerve, was going to like fix the game. There's no new game modes added. All right, man, Jesus, dude. Just wasting our time with this. Literally wasting lives.
Tony Storm character. Like, come on, man. She's been doing the timeless gimmick for nearly a year now.
All right, he doesn't understand how long it takes to actually make a character in AEW Fight Forever. Production on Tony Storm started when production on the main game ended. So when they finished production on the main game, they started working on the DLC. She wasn't created like it takes. They decided to hand animate all the characters. The other main problem that AEW Fight Forever has had is that they made a very, interesting decision to go hand animated. So making characters takes an exceptionally long amount of time. And so, yeah, when they started making Tony Storm, she was just Tony Storm. Outcast Tony Storm. No, she's not timeless Tony Storm, and she never will be. It sucks. And that's another problem with, these wrestling games is that wrestling fans want the wrestling game to look like what's on TV immediately. And it just doesn't and never will. It's not a thing that it does.
And they have this complete...
Not this game. The WWE 2K does, and so it's going to draw that comparison. And this is why it was probably a bad decision to go that way. Because there's no way to avoid being compared to the industry leader.
Really outdated Tony Storm model. Buying the Season 2 pass saved me $5, or else I was paying $12 for one character. One outdated character for $12. I also got myself a free DLC package. Wow, the freebie for the fans, with 5 new music tracks and 10 new attires. How generous of AEW Fight Forever. We will definitely be discussing more about this later. For now though, let's focus on the Season 3 content, the new Season 3 content, and included in the Season 3 pass is 3 new characters and 2 new maps. But currently all you've got is Swerve Strickland and the 2 new maps. The other 2 characters include...
So he's not even going to wait for the whole season to drop? Dude's like reviewing season 3 DLC and he's not even waiting for like the full season to be released. Like, what's the rush, bro? Your channel was dipping that hard. You were like, I got to make this Fight Forever video. It's trending. I'll just jump in now for the algorithm. Doesn't even matter if the season isn't fully released yet. But like, it's not going to matter. It's just characters. There's no reason to get into this again. There's no reason to kick this dead horse. There's no reason to beat it with a stick over and over again. It's dead. It's over. It was already over by this point. Nothing else was happening.
Included are Claudio Castagnoli, who is dropping in early March, and Jamie Hayter, who drops in April. It's good that they finally got around to adding these three, as it was long overdue, and I'll say early on right now that to me, Season 3 is probably the best season pass so far for AEW Fight.
I don't even know how you would qualify what's the best season pass. They're all about, it depends on whether you like the wrestlers or not. Season 3 pass is great if you like Swerve, which you probably do if you're into AEW. He's a world champion, or was. Claudio, who's massively popular, and Jamie Hayter, who's like the most popular, female wrestler short of maybe Britt Baker. So yeah, but it's a popularity thing. If you like Danhausen, then that season pass was the best. If you're a big Danhausen and Hook fan, well then that, season 1 was your jam.
Fight Forever. I'll explain in a second why that's not exactly an amazing achievement, but what they've released with the Season 3 pass is some decent stuff. Gameplay wise,
Not
Swerve
really.
Strickland is a fine character to play as. He kind
Okay.
of controls
So
the
is Keith
same
Lee.
as
Keith
a
Lee's
lot of the
just
other
as fun.
AEW Fight Forever characters, so a bit generic in that regard, but he looks like Swerve Strickland.
This is
and
a
he has the same
non-review.
moves as Swerve Strickland, so it's Swerve Strickland. There you go. I did have a hard time hitting the Swerve Stomp, as you can see, but that one's on me. What brings the season pass to the top
it's
though,
on
for
the
me
game, but
is the
alright,
two
whatever.
beach maps, because the two beach maps are genuinely great additions to the game and should have been there from the start.
Should have been there from the start? Why? They're goofy. No. Modern Dino. If you were going to say anything should have been there from the start, it would be like Collision, which is still not in the game and never will be. We're missing pay-per-views. We're missing Daily's Place. All right, forget everything else. Forget everything, all the other arenas. The only arena that should have been in here from day one, should have been Daily's Place, with how important Daily's Place in Florida has been to All Elite Wrestling. Yeah, that's the one that should have been there from day one, not the stupid beach arena. Who cares about the beach arena? This guy's thrilled. Oh, just wait until the next season with Adam Copeland in the Zombie House. I mean, the Zombie House is like the coolest one. But who cares? It shouldn't be there day one. This is definitive DLC content. This is optional content. You want your wrestlers to wrestle on an empty beach? I mean, that is totally frivolous and dumb. Daily's Place is pivotal to the history of All Elite Wrestling, so it should have been there. If we're going to say any arena should be in this game, it would be Daily's Place 1000%.
The beach maps...
And then barring that, it would be Collision, for God's sake. And then they put in an updated Dynamite. So they had the original look of Dynamite. They put in an updated look of Dynamite that they literally only kept for like a couple of months. They updated Dynamite to a new look, and then they changed it. And so they have this weird updated Dynamite that only lasted for like 3 months until they updated it again to what it is now, which is not in the game. And they've never done a beach show. This has literally never happened in the history of AEW. Joey Janela does a beach show. And he was in AEW, but they never did a beach show. They did a show on, if you want to put something in here from the history of AEW that's beach themed or water themed, you would do the Jericho Cruise, where they actually did an episode of Dynamite on Jericho's boat, on one of his cruise ships. He doesn't own the cruise ship, but he does a cruise, and they did a show on the cruise. I'm explaining this way too much. What I'm telling you is that this man doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
In my opinion, look stunning visually, and the best part is they're interactive. You're able to actually go out and fight in the sea and hit moves
Who
on people
cares?
and quite literally make a splash. It's sick. Honestly,
It is
it's
not
cool.
sick.
And the
It
reason
is
why it's
stupid,
great is
dude.
because
You
it's
are
something
trying
that's new
too
and
hard.
unique to this game, which this game just needs so badly. There are no other wrestling games I can think of where you can fight on the beach.
Wow, this
It's
guy's
unique to
really
Fight
impressed
Forever,
with fighting
and
on
they
the
need
beach
more maps
and
like
pinning
this.
people
More
in the water. I mean, he
non-wrestling
just
and
killed Keith
interactive
Lee.
maps.
He
Like,
drowned
give us a
him.
Jericho Cruise map or anything
People are like,
this.
AEW's
And I
too
don't want to keep
hardcore, and this
saying
guy's over here
and over,
drowning
but this
Keith
really
Lee. Oh my
should have been in
God.
the game from the start. When AEW Fight Forever was in development, they cited No Mercy and the arcade style of wrestling games as the main inspiration for this game.
This
And
dude's
as a
just
player of those
recycling his
arcade
last
wrestling
script,
games,
man.
one
This
of the
is
main things I
ridiculous.
remember was all the awesome non-wrestling maps and areas and locations that you could play in. People remember those kind of maps a lot more, and those maps are replayed a lot more than just a generic arena with different branding depending on what show it is. You know what I mean? Fight Forever needed maps like this from the start to set them apart from the start.
All right. He's got some valid criticism here. He has reached something approaching valid criticism, and that is we have a arcade-style wrestling game, and he's saying that they should have leaned more into the arcadey kind of aspects of this, the more goofy aspect. And I agree. I wholeheartedly agree that that kind of embracing a more goofy, video gamey experience would have helped set them apart from WWE 2K. And in that case, I mean, I think what he's trying to say here is that he would have preferred a bunch of weird arenas right from the start instead of mini games. I mean, we'd all appreciate pretty much anything other than the mini games, which a lot of development money and time went into for like no reason. So yeah, I guess that would be cool. They did add a bunch for downloadable content. So if you get the game now and you get the complete version, you do get a lot of arcadey kind of gimmick stuff. Although none of it is really fun for more than a couple of matches. Like this beach thing feels like a breath of fresh air for like a couple of matches. And then, I don't know, I just want to recreate something that happened to Daly's place. As an AEW fan, I just kind of want to recreate AEW moments. Maybe that's my problem. But the beach arena, for me, I don't find myself compelled to go back to the game because there's nothing to really do there. Once you drown Keith Lee a couple of times, you know, what is there really to do? The entrances don't look great. There's no interactions to find. There's no real hidden stuff to uncover. It's really not that interesting. It's very sparse.
It's not something that is seen in modern wrestling games as maps like these, and so it was a missed opportunity not to put these in the start of the game, but being as fair as possible, at least they have it in now. Maybe too little too late though. So with Jamie Hayter and Claudio Castagnoli included, this is probably the best Fight Forever season pass and the most bang for your buck. However, neither of these things are saying very much because the bar is very low and it's still overpriced. These season passes shouldn't be any more than $10 and the
Okay, he's just making this up now. As far as pricing goes, it's priced at what it's priced at, and the price goes down over time. There's no reason to jump in on this right now and pay full price for it unless you are an AEW fanatic. If you're an All Elite Wrestling fanatic, they could literally charge $50 per wrestler and we would buy it. It is absurd to heavily criticize the price of the Fight Forever downloadable content when you have the egregious gouging that is happening over with WWE 2K, which literally has $100 microtransactions in it. All Elite Wrestling Fight Forever does not have any microtransactions in the actual game. It has downloadable content packs, which have been heavily discounted over time to the point where you can buy the full package for like $40 at this point, with all the downloadable content included. It is incredibly, incredibly cheap when you compare it to modern wrestling games. And when we talk about modern wrestling games, we talk about WWE 2K. I have yet to have someone tell me what the price would be to literally own all of the rare cards in WWE 2K. In WWE 2K, there are these faction cards that are for sale. You don't need them. I keep being told over and over again, well, you don't need them, Mr. Mrhartgrave. You can ignore them. Yes, you can ignore Danhausen. You can ignore Hook. You can ignore anything. But if you truly want the full WWE 2K experience, there has yet to be a dollar amount put on that. On Fight Forever, the most anyone would have paid to own every bit of downloadable content at the most expensive price is maybe somewhere around $200. If you bought everything at full price, maybe you're around $200. Maybe. WWE 2K, we're at $2,000, $4,000, $20,000 to literally unlock everything. I'm talking about that stuff that you guys keep ignoring. Not that everyone does that, but there are people who have. No one has spent over $200 on AEW Fight Forever. No one on the planet Earth has spent more than $200 on AEW Fight Forever, barring those individuals that might be buying it on multiple consoles because they love the game so damn much. And I don't think anyone's being hurt by this. When we get into egregious downloadable content pricing, I don't think we can really point the finger at AEW games and call them guilty of robbery, which is what I keep seeing happening over and over again, which is crazy when you compare it to the industry leader who is egregiously overpricing its microtransactions so that they can give you cheaper downloadable content. AEW Games made the decision to charge you more for downloadable content, but to not prey upon the mentally diverse with predatory microtransactions and dark patterns. And they should be praised for this, not chastised.
Singular characters shouldn't be anything more than like $3.
In
or
your
if
opinion,
anything, all of it should just be free, not anything.
Really? The dude goes so far to say all of it should just be free? On what planet? This is all content that has been developed after the main production of the game. That's crazy. And I am a person that rallies against predatory game practices. However, this downloadable content is not predatory. I'm telling you right now, it's entirely optional. You buy it if you like the wrestlers, if you want to support the developers, if you wanted to support more downloadable content. If you think it's overpriced, wait, the price comes down. I mean, it's technically all free now. Now, a year later, you can buy AEW Fight Forever, the complete edition, for like $60. All downloadable content included. So yes, over time, it does become free. How come we never mention that?
Anything like, I don't know, $12 for a singular character.
If you want to buy it day one.
I mentioned earlier that AEW Fight Forever actually released a free DLC package, and it's called
It's crap.
the
It's crap.
for the Fans. It includes 5 new music tracks and 10 new wrestler attires.
Okay.
Wowee. It reads
Well, it's
almost
free.
like some sort of pathetic apology. Hey, sorry the game sucks, have some music. It's like when Bethesda gave all the Fallout 76 players some in-game currency as an apology.
No, actually, it's entirely different. No, sir. No. It is not like giving people in-game currency at all. This is not a microtransaction. They developed content and they gave it to you for free. They didn't just give you more in-game currency. That's an entirely different situation.
For problems with the game, and
I don't have time here to explain
to buy anything good in the game. Yeah man, what an insult. Freebie for the fans. Wow, look at Fight Forever doing it for the fans. It's just insulting the way they're trying to act like they're for the fans just for giving away some free cosmetic items and in-game music.
Wow, I mean, this is amazingly disingenuous commentary. I don't even know how to approach the entitlement. For what reason? Why do we get so entitled? Because you drop $60 on a game, you all of a sudden feel like the developer should just like drip feed you content for free? That's crazy, dude.
Which is the complete.
And then they do give you something for free, and you're like, yeah, it's not good enough. Like, I have a feeling we would still be here even if the freebie for the fans was Evil Uno. I have a feeling that this guy would still be here saying this, even if the free content was Evil Uno. Literally a character that the fans wanted. That's what it should have been. Honestly, that's what it should have been. I'm going to say that. He's not wrong in saying that it was disappointing. But I have a feeling this guy would still be criticizing this and being like, well, yeah, who wants Evil Uno? I don't have any definitive number on every character in AEW Fight Forever and how much they cost to develop. But let's just say hypothetically. Okay? And I'm going to make an educated guess based upon my best information. I'm going to say each character costs somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe $20,000 to $25,000 to make. Now, what do you think about their price? If a hand-animated character in a wrestling video game costs between $20,000 and $25,000 to put in the video game, now what do you think? Now what do you think about the price of the DLC? And let's assume that the price of putting a motion capture character into like a WWE 2K game is closer to around $5,000, okay? Production cost. You know, maybe that's why there's this disparity, and maybe that's why you don't see characters being given out for free. I'm just hypothetically.
Minimum, all the while selling completely overpriced DLC and never listening to the fans. No matter how hard they try to spin it, AEW Fight Forever is not for the fans. And that's coming from someone who is an AEW fan and enjoys the gameplay on Fight Forever. And it's also unfortunate as an enjoyer of the game, until I get bored of it because there's so little to do, but I really believe this game is probably never gonna recover. I think
the game is... it's so weird how people talk about the game like it's never gonna recover. It's never gonna... No, it doesn't need to recover. It's not like an ailing child. It's not like... a dog with a wounded leg. It's just a video game. It was released. It's there for you to play or not play. It doesn't care if you interact with it. So many people got so fixated that, oh, no one's playing it. Well, people bought it. All the developers cared about AEW games. All they were trying to do was sell the game to fans of All Elite Wrestling. Clearly. That was their only aim, and it did that, and it did what it needed to do, and then it's done. They released some downloadable content that people bought or didn't buy, and that's it. It doesn't need to recover or do something else. The community's making that up. No one is saying that. No one is having meetings. You can tell, because they didn't take any actions that made any sense. If they thought that people needed to play this game, then they would have done things to get people to play the game. But they never did anything to get anyone to play the game ever. That wasn't their drive. That wasn't their concern. There are no battle passes. There are no microtransactions. There are no predatory behaviors. There's no daily calendars. There's nothing. There's no reason to come into this game every day. The developers could have put all that stuff in. They had the option. I'm sure it was discussed. They decided not to. They decided to sell a normal video game for regular people, and those people out there who are irregular and want to be addicted to a video game were very upset that this game did not have those features. It's crazy, actually.
The two beach maps were a nice little step forward in the right direction. However, I think AEW Fight Forever is far too out of touch, and what they're trying to do to revive the game...
That's accurate. I mean that's an accurate take. It is out of touch.
I think the only way for this game to possibly gain more players is to pump so much new content into it and release so much new content in the game.
They couldn't release enough content into the game because they didn't put mechanisms in place to get money. There's no money in it. There's no money in selling a video game. AEW Games is a very new game studio, and they didn't know how it works, guys. That's what this is. And maybe for their next game, they'll figure it out. But in this day and age, to be a successful video game, you have to sell so many copies, and a wrestling video game is never going to do that. A wrestling video game is never... I mean, I don't know. I haven't checked sales figures. I'm not a total expert, but... I'm guessing that Elden Ring outsells wrestling video games. It's a video game that has mass appeal, right? As like the best video game that has been released that month or that year. This was never going to be a game of the year, right? That's how a video game makes like major money. A God of War does God of War numbers, right? I'm trying to think of big video games, but I don't think a wrestling video game. Maybe 2K is, but I think mostly WWE 2K survives off of predatory microtransactions from niche fans who will dump $30,000 plus into the game. That's how that game survives. It doesn't survive by selling massive amounts of copies, which AEW Fight Forever never was going to do. All Elite Wrestling is a secondary wrestling promotion to WWE. It was never going to be the leading video game. I don't know what kind of game this would need to be a game of the year, but it was never going to be that. It's not like an Arkham Asylum, that everyone on the planet's going to buy forever into perpetuity. It will never be remastered and reissued 1,000 times over. It's a one and done. It's an experience for fans of All Elite Wrestling, and that's it.
Content that's free, first of all, to the point where it feels like an entirely new game, a new experience, and there's a whole array of new stuff to do.
It's called AEW Fight Forever 2.
Gameplay.
Is what they're going to do.
A No Man's Sky redemption story times a million. But with the rate they're going...
No Man's Sky had to redeem... All right, people keep claiming that AEW Fight Forever needs to do like what No Man's Sky did. No Man's Sky came out, and it sucked, and then they made it so much better, and then everybody bought it. Well, yeah, No Man's Sky was aiming for that Game of the Year status, where everybody on the planet would buy it. Not just niche fans of a niche audience, okay? No Man's Sky was supposed to be bought by everyone who owns a video game console on the planet Earth, okay? Wrestling video games are not supposed to be bought by every single person who has a console on the planet Earth. It's just not. They're supposed to be bought by wrestling fans. And AEW Fight Forever, there are fewer AEW fans than there are WWE fans. So less money was spent on it. And less game was delivered because of that. I think the amount of money that was spent on AEW Fight Forever is the amount of money that WWE spends marketing its video game. Their game itself cost about 10 times what AEW Fight Forever does. So just keep this in mind when you want to kick this game over and over and over again. How unfair this criticism is.
It's not ever gonna happen, and it's just too little too late anyway. People get bored of games so quick, and games are no longer the flavor of the month nowadays, but the flavor of the week instead. Fight Forever in particular had so little in the game upon release that people got bored quick. Like, I'm talking within days.
I mean, there's nothing wrong of getting bored of Fight Forever and just moving on with your life, is there? Am I missing something, guys? Is it okay to just like get bored of Fight Forever and just move on? I mean, is the news story here that no, you shouldn't pay $60 for any video game? Is that the news story? Is that what we keep breaking over and over again with these videos? Hey guys, spending $60 on a video game is kind of risky in this day and age, right? Yeah, you think? Should you maybe wait a year until the price comes down and all the downloadable content gets released and you can buy it at a reduced price? Really? I mean, how long is it going to take for us as consumers to kind of figure that out? I mean, I already think most regular people know that. I mean, maybe we got to tell these YouTubers, right? I don't know.
They've ran out of things to do in the game, and those are players that will never come back. And the few loyal players that did...
All right, that's entirely crazy, this whole statement, and I've seen this said so many times, and these guys crack me up. Well, I'm never gonna play another AEW wrestling game again in my life after this experience. Bullshit. Of course you're gonna be back. Of course you're gonna be back. Dude, you signed up once, you're going to sign up again. There's no way you're not. Maybe you'll be smart and you'll wait a year next time until it all gets kind of sold at a reduced price. But guess what? You might also just pre-order for $100 because you're an idiot. Just admit it. It's okay. There's a lot of people out there leading kick-ass lives who do that sort of thing. I don't believe it for a second. I don't think they alienated an audience. I don't think they wore out their welcome. I think AEW Fight Forever 2 is going to come out. It's going to fix all the problems, or at least it's going to say they have. And people are just going to buy right into it and then get mad all over again that it was missing this feature or that feature. And then guess what? They will buy AEW Fight Forever 3.
Stick around also eventually left and got bored. The online and competitive scene died because they failed to patch exploits and easy win techniques. And everyone else...
The online scene was never alive to begin with. The online scene never existed. Like, the online scene died because there was no reason to play it. That's just very simple. Just very simple. There was no reason to ever do it. They never thought of it as a serious feature.
Just got bored eventually, or as dips in and out of the game like I do. Not having complex enough creation suites or community creations also hurt the game in the long run, because it meant that we're relying...
I'll say not having community creations was pretty big. I think there was a lot of people out there that would have played this game longer if they were able to download created wrestlers. There would have been a lot more life to the game had they done that. That would have been the one thing. If I could tell them to do one thing that wouldn't cost a lot of money, it would be community creations, or at least just codes, even just codes to import wrestlers. Not even an online marketplace, which is what they really should have had. But there's, hosting fees. But at least put an export code.
On the game to go as fresh content, and look how reliable they've been. I also feel like Fight Forever was definitely relying a bit on the Stadium Stampede mode to kind of save the game and get the player numbers back up, and while I enjoyed Stadium Stampede, it's got the same problem as the rest of the game where it just gets repetitive and you get bored of it very quick. And as well as that, it's also seen no updates. Apparently,
there's been a lot of updates since he said that.
We're in Season 2 of Stadium Stampede.
But, it doesn't matter. Look, Stadium Stampede is still kind of dumb. The main problem with Stadium Stampede is that it's paywalled. If Stadium Stampede was a free-to-play game like Fortnite with all the microtransactions involved, it might actually be a pretty big game.
Now, which I didn't know was a thing. I didn't even know Stadium Stampede had seasons.
It doesn't
that's
really.
Probably because there's
I don't know what the
no
hell they were
difference
saying there.
Between Season 1 and Season 2 of Stadium Stampede. It's the same map, same weapons, same everything.
It's ridiculous.
So, yeah, I wonder why players aren't sticking around. And all those reasons are why, despite the fact the content they've released is good here, the game's still never going to recover, and it's still overpriced. I hope you guys enjoyed me giving my take on AEW.
I absolutely did not
enjoy this. You've probably heard
video.
a million times. I'm a fan of this game overall, like I said.
I don't think
and
you
I
are,
want it
sir.
to succeed. However, I'm not a fan of their current release schedule and strat.
No, you know what? That just struck me as a lot of garbage. All right, but he kept going, because he didn't say everything he needed to say. He needed to put out another video 3 months later because it needed to be stopped. AEW Fight Forever had to be stopped. What was it doing where it needed your intervention, sir?
AEW's video game Fight Forever is back for Season 4, which means I'm back as well. AEW's video game Fight Forever is back for Season 4, which means I'm back as well to do my AEW Fight Forever seasonally review and talk.
Oh, he's got to be here every season. Did he at least wait for the season to drop this time? Could he at least wait until everything came out for Season 4? Or is he just back at the start of Season 4?
Talk about the new season, the new characters, the new maps, all the new features, and everything that has changed.
I'm so glad that he included capturing himself because I really needed that. It's really improving the experience for me.
In the game, but also everything that hasn't changed in the game. So like the video and let's talk about it. Let's talk about AEW Fight Forever Season 4 and why this game just needs to be stopped.
Why does it? I do not get. That's such a weird premise.
I went ahead and bought myself
and filmed it again with his cell phone. What a weird thing. I don't think this dude owns a camera. He's not able to capture gameplay footage. And then he just has it doesn't even look like, it's like an old digital camera. It's and he films his
the AEW
purchases.
Fight Forever Season 4 pass for just over $20. I'm
so
probably
weird, man.
one
Stop
of
buying
about 10
DLC,
people
buy a
to
camera.
buy this. And the Season 4 pass includes 3.
You should be buying cameras, not DLC for a game you don't like. I'm just a pro tip, dude. Just from one YouTuber to another. I know you got more subscribers than anyone, but maybe you'd have even more subscribers if you bought a camera.
3 new playable AEW wrestlers 2 new maps, a new tournament mode, and more. I also recently and finally upgraded to a PS5, and unfortunately, this meant I had to buy the full game again.
Oh no!
Ouch. But great news for AEW Fight Forever, guys, because not only do we have the Season 4 pass, but we also have the Elite Beat and Stadium Stampede expansion. AEW Fight Forever Elite Beat and Stampede expansion is free to all AEW Fight Forever players and features 5 new music tracks and 20 new skins. A very special thank you to the fans that made AEW the fastest growing wrestling promotion. Wow, another freebie for the fans. How
are you this negative about free downloadable C stuff? Yeah, free downloadable DLC stuff. How are you that sarcastic and negative about stuff that's free? It's kind of wild.
Incredibly generous of AEW Fight Forever to give that to us. We are so lucky. Anyway, let's just take a look at AEW Fight Forever Season 4, alright? Let's just look at it. And the first thing to notice, as always with a new AEW Fight Forever season, is the main menu. We got a new color scheme, we got new wrestlers featuring on the menu, and
this guy has so little to say. He's like telling you about the colors on the loading screen, like the new title screen. He's got so little new material. He's like, really what he should open up with is like, this video I make about Fight Forever did so well on the channel, I had to make another one because it's the most popular thing I've ever done and will do in my, career as a wrestling YouTuber. It's really I'm going to say all the same stuff, but man, look at these new colors on this title.
And all of them are up to date, and there's nothing even slightly out of date in this menu that makes 0 sense being included. But let's get straight into testing out the new characters, or character, as at the moment, Samoa Joe.
Once again, he came in at the start. He's only reviewing the release of Season 4. Jesus Christ. Oh, dude.
Joe is the only of the 3 new characters that is actually out yet, because of course, AEW Fight Forever, if you didn't know, they don't release their DLC characters all at once.
No one does. What are you talking about? It's a there's been so much misunderstanding of what a season is. There are 4 seasons in a year. Is everybody clear on that? Now, what a downloadable content season is a little nebulous. It's a little unclear how long a season lasts. It could be a year, it could be 4 months, could be 2 months. I had that problem as well when covering the game. But it's understandable. Like, they're going to release a bunch of downloadable content in the next few months. If you want to buy it all at a discounted price, you can put down that money up front or wait until it's all released. This guy's reviewing Season 4 DLC when only one of the 3 DLC packs has been released. It's like crazy, and he doesn't even understand it.
But rather, they make you have to wait a couple of weeks or even months between the releases of the new characters. So we got Samoa Joe now, and Adam Copeland and Jay White are going to be playable at a later date, which to me, if you ask me, is pretty pointless, because probably only about 10 people have bought this DLC, me.
All right, that's crazy. That's crazy that this guy is claiming that only 10 people have bought this DLC. I mean, I don't know what the install rate on AEW Fight Forever is, but I guarantee you this DLC sold more than 10 copies. Especially when I'm telling you how much I suspect a wrestler costs to put in the game. If we suspect a wrestler cost about $20,000 to put into this game, that means, right, 20,000 divided by 20 is how many people have bought the DLC for them to keep making DLC. So yes, many thousands of people bought this DLC. Do they talk about it? Do they bitch about it online? No. They bought their DLC, they shut up, they enjoyed it or didn't, and then moved on with their life because it just wasn't that big of a deal.
included obviously, and surely nobody is invested enough in this game to be waiting weeks between character drops and actually even paying attention to that. Either way, like I said, Samoa Joe is the only playable character, and Adam Copeland and Jay White are going to be available to play as in the next few weeks. But anyway, Samoa Joe, yes, not really much to say about Samoa Joe in this game other than, yeah, it's Samoa Joe.
Like, he had more to say about Swerve. He was like, Swerve's great and does all these cool moves. Like, doesn't Samoa Joe do cool moves?
His moveset,
he's like, I don't like Samoa Joe. I like Swerve.
Is good. He plays like Samoa Joe. He looks like Samoa Joe. It just literally is Samoa Joe. I don't really know.
It's crazy because this is the same thing you could say about Swerve, except he said Swerve in a positive way and Samoa Joe in a negative way. Do you like new characters in the game or not, sir?
How else to review this character in the game? I went ahead and played as him in the game, and I thought
it's almost like I shouldn't be making this video at all because I don't really have anything to say.
I tried to kill two birds with one stone by using the new Samoa Joe character on the New Japan Shrine map, which is the new map that got dropped. No, not the New Japan Shrine map, just the Japan Shrine map. Don't get confused with New Japan, the wrestling promotion. There is no Forbidden
literally
Door
no one
crossover
was
going
confused.
on. So the map is called Japan Shrine, and you probably noticed it in the background during this exploding barbed wire match. However, if you play this game, you can't exit the ring during this match. You would know that, and that means I wasn't able to explore the map fully, but luckily for me, I managed to glitch outside after the explosion, and so we could explore the map in full uninterrupted. And you know, it sure is a Japan Shrine. Don't really know what else to say again.
Hey, I'll give him credit. He's totally capturing his own footage. At least I think so. So that's cool. Good job.
And it looks nice, but it's just a backdrop. And it's a pretty big map too. Like,
can't you say the same thing about the beach arena? Dude! He was like glazing the beach arena. Because there's no water in the Japanese shrine. He's like, well, this is crap. I don't understand this at all. If I can't drown Keith Lee, then I'm just not into it, man.
There's a fair bit to walk around, but it's just nothing, really. Like I said,
now it's nothing. Before it was, oh, this is what the game needs to be. These crazy arenas are what needs to be in the game. This is what would have saved and changed everything. And now he's like, it's just a backdrop. 3 months. It's quite a shift in opinion, sir. It's almost like you're just saying whatever to kill time, to make sure that your video is almost 10 minutes long for the algorithm.
It's just a backdrop. And listen, it's completely fair to have not expected it to be more than that, but I would have liked at least one interactive or unique element.
He's like, I would have liked some water so I could drown someone.
You know, for example, the beach map they released for Season 3 was a really cool map. It was actually pretty awesome.
He's still glazing the beach map.
And that's mainly in part because you can kind of interact with the map and you can fight in the sea. And that's a unique element to this map that other
oh my god, it is not that great, dude.
And I feel something like that is missing in this Japan
He's like,
map.
remember when I
Something
drowned Keith Lee? Dude, that was
using
sweet.
A regular arena, other than the fact that it's not an arena. Do you know what I mean? There is another map coming soon along with this season, which I believe is like a spooky themed map, and it's coming out alongside with Adam Copeland.
So why don't you wait for that to release? Why did this need to be done before the downloadable content had fully been released? This would have been such a better video had you just waited a few months. Like, what's the point of this? I got to make sure I get on this now. Well, because it wouldn't be trending in a few months. I've got to do it now while it's trending, and I guess it sucks.
Be a little more depth to it than the Japan Shrine.
Hold up, I got to get on this right away and hope I can kill some sales on this.
Fine map. But anyway, let's talk about the Stadium Stampede expansion, shall we? Because in the Stadium Stampede
there you go, that's what you
which
wanted.
I think is legit the first update they've done for this mode, I believe.
No, actually, it is not the first update. They had updated in the last time he did a video. They had put multiplayer in, but he didn't even know that. He didn't even know that they actually had an update before this. So
League
there's that.
includes new party modes such as Duo Stampede, Quad Stampede, Duo Deathmatch, and Quad Deathmatch.
It doesn't matter because no one plays it.
Field Goal Frenzy mode, which is an American football game mode.
And it sucks.
Now, as for the Field Goal Frenzy mode, which I'll start off with, it's a fun mode. Like I said, it's an American football themed game. The American football is an object.
No, it's bad.
Yes, I'm saying American
it's
football.
Real bad.
That's what the sport is called. And they've basically incorporated that into a 5v5
it's not good.
kind of game.
It's not good at all, sir.
It's just like an American football game, but on the stadium stand.
No, it is not just like an American football game.
It's a fun mode. I enjoyed playing it,
it's
but
not
it has
fun.
the same issue as every other aspect.
Kind of more like
game,
soccer, isn't it?
In that it's about fun for a week.
He's like, it's like American football throws football into soccer net. I don't know what American football is, but I assume this is just like it. They got soccer nets, right?
At most, before it just kind of gets boring. And obviously, when I tried to play this game, I was the only actual player in it. The rest were all bots.
You were.
So this game mode clearly isn't going to be sustainable in the slightest. And then the new duos and quads mode that they have, yeah, it's nice that they have these new squads modes in this game, but it's truly nothing to write home about. Nice one that you added it, but realistically this should have been in this mode from the start. It is very much the norm for battle royale games to have duos and squad modes. This is nothing to be hyping up and acting like it's free because it's a thank you to the fans. No, it's free because charging for this would have been an insult. The fact they're trying to sell it as an extra DLC to say thank you.
They actually didn't sell that as a DLC. I don't think he understands what's happening here. He literally isn't paying attention to any of this stuff.
For making us the fastest growing wrestling product. I don't even get that. Just include it in the game and don't say anything about it. You don't need to.
Why would you not say anything about it though? I think the problem was they didn't communicate any of this. There was no communication about what they were doing and what they were developing. They should have communicated more about what they were developing and let people know about it. They should have advertised Stadium Stampede when they were putting the game out and let people know it was coming and build hype around it. Release it for free as an outside game. Truly release it for free. So you don't have to buy AEW Fight Forever to play Stadium Stampede is what they should have done.
To make a big deal out of a release and saying thank you to the fans.
Why are they making a big deal out of these releases that I admit are fun? I don't know, man. Why are they making a big deal out of it? I don't know, because maybe they were proud of it. Maybe they thought it was cool. Maybe they wanted to say something nice about their own game. Weird, huh? Crazy. Wild.
Just a bit of an insult, like I said, but what?
Why are you taking it as an insult that they want to inform you that something is in the game that was free? Why are you insulted by that, sir?
However, though, I was lying when I said there was 3 characters added, because there was
Oh, God. All right. Is he going to catch heat for this? Because I caught heat for this. I called these guys jobbers, and I got explained over and over and over again. These are YouTuber wrestling legends, and you are an asshole for implying that they are jobbers. So I really want to see if he sticks his foot in his mouth, too. And if he does, make sure you go after him with that same energy that you went after me.
Actually 8, as in this game features community wrestlers, which are usually just created characters by AEW wrestlers, but in this update we got to see 5 new community wrestlers from content creators. We've got Chris Danger, John Blood, Macho T, James Darnell, and Tony Pizza Guy, many of whom you might recognize. And listen, I get that maybe your general gamer isn't going to be impacted by this or necessarily care about this, but as a fan of all these guys and a content creator myself, I love this.
Okay, he's fine. You see, that's what I should have said. That's what I should have said. That was my bad. I voiced for the community, and the community still says that we would have rather had Evil Uno. But if you want to voice for YouTubers, then yes, this is great. I'm really glad they put YouTubers in. I hope they do me next time.
The character models are cool, obviously. They are created wrestlers, so it's kind of limited because the creation suite sucks in this game, but they look alright. Their movesets are pretty generic other than the finishers, which seem to be all specifically selected. I am a big fan of John Blood having the overdrive as his finisher, and yeah, it's cool to see, especially someone like Chris Danger, who is literally a wrestler in real life, so this is kind of one extra real wrestler in the game. But yeah man, to me, this is the best part of the Season 4 update. Overall, it's pretty disappointing. Samoa Joe, Jay White, and Adam Copeland are all good additions, but not enough to justify $22.
Unless you're a Jay White fan. I'm a Jay White fan. I pay $20 for Jay White. Literally. I'm a Jay White fan. I would spend $20 just for Jay White. That's how I feel about it. I stand by it.
Bucks. And the stuff that came along with it.
I'm also a fan of zombies and creepy stuff, so I would have paid $20 for the arena too. I don't even use it. I don't even know why I would pay $20. I don't even play this game.
Season 4 pack like the Japan map doesn't make it any more worth it. And whatever the other map is that's coming,
you know, if it's not worth it, then just don't buy it. I don't really know what the problem is. I don't really see the harsh criticism on this.
Out soon won't help either, no matter how good it is, because $22 is just too much. It's as simple as that. I'll always review these new seasons fairly. I'll tell you what I like and don't like, but the
I mean, you didn't like anything, and you didn't even experience the full season of content. So I don't know how that's fair at all, actually.
same criticism I'm always going to have are that these...
You are going to always have the same criticism, though. You are accurate in that you will always give the same criticism. It will always be uninformed, and it will always be unfair.
Passes aren't anywhere near worth forking out $20 for, and if anything, should just be completely free. But hey, luckily I can get the absolute bargain that is the AEW Fight Forever Ultimate Edition, which I believe just dropped recently, and hey, it includes the game and extra bonuses such as all the season passes included, and wow, it's only $100. Bro, I'm sorry, who is buying that? I would
Many people are buying that. People who didn't buy it the first time around. There are people who spent $100 and did not get all of the DLC.
genuinely love to know what the sales are for that, because that has to be like double digits at most, maybe even less. Overall,
I mean, this man just does not understand how many people are out there buying dumb things constantly.
I'd rate it a 5 out of 10, not taking account
5 out of 10? This DLC? I don't. What wrestling DLC is a 10 out of 10? What is the scale? Against what? This is their first game. I have no idea how we even quantify that.
the price, and that's from what we have currently. Maybe the map will help bump it up, but I highly doubt it. The season pass was definitely better, and they've also got the tournament mode, which is being added later on, and I think once again, this is just a mode that should have been in there from the start. The fact you're making people pay for it, what the hell? 5 out of 10. That's it from me for this video.
I mean, look, if you're going to be mad about having to pay for the tournament mode, why not just go 1 out of 10? Why stop at 5? Just go all the way down to 1. This game needs to be stopped. I still don't know why it has to be stopped. Like, is it hurting someone? I really don't know. All right, now this is it. This is their final word on it. They decided, all right, we want to complete the trilogy. And a month after that, this is it. This is the failure of AEW Fight Forever 1 year later. We're really going to sum it up. And we're pushing the video length to 14 minutes. We really have a lot to say. The first one was 8 minutes. You know, the second one was 9 minutes. And now we're up to 14 full minutes of intense criticism of AEW Fight Forever. Intense and extremely informed. Because God knows I've been enlightened today.
It has officially been a year since the release of AEW Fight Forever, and in those last 365 days, the game has completely died. In fact, the game died very quickly after its release, and despite numerous attempts to do so...
I mean, look, it's like, all right, so, oh, God. I've put something on the thumbnail to the effect of the death of the game or something like that, and it gets said a lot. This game's dead. This game's dead. This game died. This is a dead game. It's actually just fine. The game is fine, guys. You can play the game. You can buy the game. The game still works. The game is actually not dead. The servers are still on. You can still play it online. Last I checked, it's not dead. They're done with DLC. There's no more DLC. Okay. It's getting less expensive every month that goes on. The game gets less expensive, so it gets more accessible. It's been on Game Pass. It's been a free game. I think it's been on PlayStation Network as a free game. They're giving it away. They're letting people play it. There are some people out there who have played it every day since release. The game is not dead. The game was never alive. The game is not a live service, so it can't die. Live service games can die because people stop playing them. AEW Fight Forever literally will last forever as a standalone experience. It cannot die. It's a zombie walking around forever. You can't kill it. There's no death of this game. It's a misnomer. It's a misunderstanding. People treat this game like it's a live service, but it's not. It wasn't developed that way. It doesn't work that way. It's not true. Fake news.
Was never able to recover, and as of June,
it didn't need to recover. It just needed to sell copies, and it does, and it still sells copies. It keeps selling. People keep buying the DLC. The game is broken even and is making nothing but profit now. No one's working on it anymore. No one's employed. The game only exists to make money. It's actually doing better than a lot of games. It's better than a live service game because they don't have to upkeep it. It's done.
2024, the daily player count has stayed stagnant. So how did this happen?
On Steam. You could only check the player count on Steam. You can't check it on consoles. No one knows how many people are playing it on consoles. I know that more people play on consoles than play on Steam. Steam is the smallest install base of this game. Most people are playing on PlayStation 5. I still hear reports today that you can go on PlayStation 5 and 8 people are playing it at any given time. It's not a lot. It's a whole hell of a lot more than play it on PC.
How did a game that was hyped and teased for the better part of 2 years as much as AEW Fight Forever be such a failure of a delivered product, and how did the game that people thought would save the wrestling games genre end up being such a disaster? Today we discuss it all, from the initial announcement of the game, the build up to release day itself and all its updates, and everything leading up.
Oh, he's really trying to be comprehensive in this one. Is this it, dude? Are you done with it? Are you trying to say this is the last video I'm going to make on this? I mean, good. Let's let it die.
To the full game that we have now for the ultimate AEW Fight Forever retrospective. Like the video and let's get into it. AEW officially formed in January 2019, and they'd hold a few pay-per-views that year before their debut of their TV show AEW Dynamite in October of that same year. And leading up to their TV arrival, AEW had already spoken about and expressed interest in a possible AEW video game. However, it wasn't obviously going to come immediately. Regardless though, the current state of wrestling games was not looking good, and it was a good time to be looking at releasing a wrestling game, as WWE 2K20 had of course just dropped around this time in what is seen.
And yeah, WWE 2K20 was a disaster of a game, and that's why everyone thought that the wrestling game, scene needed saving. We needed a game to come in and, if they could have released Fight Forever in 2020, they might have done really, really good. But they were nowhere near ready to release a video game in 2020, so they couldn't take advantage of that. 2K did the right thing. They corrected their mistakes. They put out much better games all before Fight Forever was released. So this idea that Fight Forever was going to save the wrestling gaming community, it was in no longer need of saving by the time it was released.
By a lot of people as the worst wrestling game of all time, mainly because the game was full of stuff like this.
By the way, Fight Forever does none of these things. This is bad. This is crazy.
There's the mat slam.
I've never seen anything like this in Fight Forever. I've seen a few goofy things, but nothing like this broken. This is entirely broken.
WWE 2K had stopped working with their main developer Ukes, meaning that they had to rebuild the entire engine from scratch in just a year, and obviously you saw what we got with WWE 2K20. With the potential AEW video game, it was pretty much just going to be a waiting game, as it was understandable they weren't going to release a game as they had only just formed as a company recently, but people waited with eagle eyes, and it wouldn't be until November of 2020 when the wrestling games community would get a big announcement from AEW. As the AEW Games YouTube channel was started, and on the 2nd of November, they announced that an AEW Games special event would be taking place on the 10th of November, and fans awaited with excitement with the expectation of an AEW game announcement, and that's what they would get and then some. As Kenny Omega in a turtleneck would present a teaser trailer for the game, and this was very exciting to see and also surprising to see, as fans weren't expecting this much content to see early on of the game. And with yet another disappointing 2K release with WWE 2K Battlegrounds that had just come out, and the announcement that
My chat is literally saying that this game is better.
there wouldn't be a WWE 2K game the next year, it was once again the perfect time for this game to release, and fans were desperate for a new wrestling game. The livestream also announced that AEW were working on mobile game projects, but we don't need to talk about those, maybe that's a different video.
Oh, they're horrible, by the way. Those mobile games are trash garbage. I would never defend those. Those are actually bad. Those should be stopped.
And the big announcement in the teaser trailer was that the ex-WWE Games developer Yuke's would be helping to develop AEW Fight Forever, and as well as
That was probably a really bad idea.
that, the game would be inspired by
Not saying that Ukes did anything wrong. I'm just saying, like, this partnership was probably a bad idea.
WWF No Mercy, and the director of No Mercy was helping with the AEW game as well. AEW Games would continue
This put a lot of expectations on the game that it just didn't need.
to post small updates on the game for the next few months, but they were mainly focusing on AEW Elite GM and showcasing everything around the release of that game, and it wouldn't be until June of 2021 when we would see the next big update on AEW Fight Forever, when the first bit of gameplay was released featuring a first look at Darby Allin. And for early gameplay, it looked pretty good, and the gameplay received positive feedback from viewers in the comments who were impressed.
How can you give positive feedback on a game you've never played and like praise its gameplay for a game you haven't touched? That's wild.
By how the game was coming along in its early stages. And then 3 months later in September, gameplay with Jungle Boy would be revealed as excitement and hype for the game continued, and hype
Many YouTube videos were released.
would increase even more when that same month it was announced that Owen Hart would be part of the game's roster and would be a playable character in his first video game appearance since 2004, which was a huge deal. Then fast forward to April 2022 as development continued, and finally a name for the game was announced when on the April 21st Dynamite tapings, AEW owner Tony Khan revealed the name of the game to be AEW Fight Forever, which many had already figured was the game's title as there had been trademark filings a month prior, and this title was formally announced the next month, with gameplay featuring Chris Statlander and
I'm
Nyla
so glad
Rose
he
also
cataloged
dropping
all
as
that.
well, as hype continued to build. Then in June, Kenny Omega announced that the game was set to come out at the end of the year. Spoilers, this of course didn't happen, and we'll get to why. In August,
Because
we
of
see
a
a lot
global
of new
fucking
stuff for Fight
pandemic?
Forever as a teaser came out confirming THQ Nordic as the publisher, as well as full match gameplay being released for the first time, and content from Gamescom being posted around as well, as AEW Fight Forever started showing the game off at conventions. And it seemed like AEW Fight Forever was a near complete game. However, while all this was going on and fan excitement was ramping up, reports came out in the background that AEW and Ukes were butting heads over the game. Supposedly, the game was way over budget and required even more extra investment, and a lot of originally planned features were being cut. Nobody really paid attention to these reports at the time, and they just kind of went by in the background like I said. Maybe people should have paid attention to these reports. The official trailer was finally released in November, airing at the Full Gear event, and surely now we weren't too far off this game being released. But after this, things went a bit silent for the game. Despite an end-of-year release being aimed, it looked as though we definitely weren't getting that. And this was supposedly due to GCW, another wrestling company if you weren't aware of them, opposing the Fight Forever trademark, as they had filed for the trademark of the same term a few months after AEW did, having ran a show under the same name a few years prior, and some extra time was needed before release of the game so that the two companies could negotiate a way to both legally use the name Fight Forever. Finally though, in May of
were people really getting confused between a video game and like a Joey Janela headlined pay-per-view event? Like, come on, guys. Like, that's ridiculous.
2023, AEW Fight Forever's release date was finally revealed, as it was announced that it would be releasing on June 29th, 2023. More gameplay would be released, showcasing the various game modes such as the mini games and the exploding barbed wire deathmatch, alongside more roster announcements. Content creators also started dropping gameplay, showcasing all the crazy weapons that can be used in matches, helping to hype the game even further until finally, release day.
Dude, I got this game before release and I had a blast with it. I just want to say straight up. All right, maybe this is finally some content I haven't had much to say about this video because he's just been like listing off a bunch of true statements and like overly explaining really simple things. But I got this game before release and I enjoyed every single moment with it. Now, I will say, as I was discovering the game and figuring out what it was all about and putting myself together and you know, figuring out what I was going to say about it when I reviewed it, I kept thinking it was going to be more than it was. I was like, oh, I'm just scratching the surface. There's so much here. It looks like there's a lot. When you load up Fight Forever, it does kind of give you, and you're unlocking things and things are happening. And you're thinking like, man, this might actually be a continued service. And it wasn't clear if it was going to be a live service or not. And I think that's where they weren't making it clear that it was a real, like, this is it. The game leads you to believe, because there's a lot of hidden unlocks, that it might just go on forever. Fight forever. And you're just going to keep unlocking things and discovering secrets forever. And things were appearing in the game, right? Things were being pushed into the game from outside, into the client, and patches were being made. And so there was a perception, you could go there and you could think, this is a live service game that doesn't have microtransactions. Oh my God, this is the best game that's ever been released. Now that would not be the case. And there would be no communication around this. So I do remember my initial thoughts about this game. I did have it overhyped. But then after you're, 20, 40 hours in, you kind of realize, oh, this is it. But I had fun the whole time. I had a great time for the first 20 to 40 hours. And for $60 or $40 or ideally $20, I don't see a problem with the game providing 20 to 40 hours of solid gameplay, 60 hours if you're hardcore. I don't see a problem with that value at all. I think it's a great game for that. And even better if you got friends. A couple of times I've had people over to play it, and it's even more fun that way. That's where it really shines. I just want to throw that out there, man. Before I got all this negativity from, YouTube and the community and whatnot, I was happy just being like, this game's wonderful, and I love AEW, and this is so much fun. And that's probably what I would I wouldn't even be aware that people didn't like the game. It would be a shock to me if you came up to me on the street and said, people don't like AEW Fight Forever and they think it's robbing people. I'd be like, what? Are you crazy? I like that game. I had fun with that. I don't play it anymore, but it was a great time. I would have never have known there was such anger around this video game and that it needed to be stopped and that it was dead or any of that kind of crap. I would just think it was a fun experience. Like I had with every other wrestling video game that I've ever played in my entire life. I play a wrestling video game. I've played many of them. Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo, original Nintendo. And I play them for like 4 months and then I never play them again. And I had a blast every single time. And I keep coming back for a new experience. This is made by the same developers. That's what I expected. That's what I got. I was fine.
June 29th came round and fans rushed to download and buy AEW Fight Forever and get their first impressions, and the first reviews would come in, and they all kinda said the same thing. Right from the very get-go, the big complaint of AEW Fight Forever was that there simply just wasn't enough content. While there was a decent...
Which is wild because, like, these people didn't even, like, play the game. Like, you got to play the game for quite a while before you run out of content. But I think the people saying that it doesn't have content were looking at match types, and it doesn't have a lot of match types. But, and yeah, if you're here just for like the arcade play, I mean, what are you going to do? You're missing a lot of things. All right, it depends on what kind of game player you are. If you're a game player that wants to unlock everything in the game, it's going to take you 40 to 60 hours. If you don't care about any of that and you just want varied gameplay, then yes, there is not a lot of content here. Ignoring all the content that is here. The problem with that statement is you are literally ignoring all the content that is here that you simply do not want to interact with. I think that's a disingenuous statement to say that there's not enough content when there's literally 40 hours of content, but you just don't want to participate in it.
Amount of match types, the game...
No review I've ever seen has beat the story mode to unlock every possible path. No review I've ever seen of AEW Fight Forever has done that. None of them. Not one. Only mine. The only review out there who has actually been through every single path in the story mode, the only person that's ever done that and reviewed the game is me.
The game just wasn't fleshed out enough and lacked a good story mode. The Road to Elite mode was meant to...
Yeah, we're going to talk about how the story mode isn't good, but you actually haven't played through the whole thing. It's like saying, this movie wasn't very good, I watched the first 5 minutes. I accidentally skipped back. I don't ever want to do that. I'm very sorry. I definitely do not want to rewatch this video. That was my bad. I'm upset with myself, trust me. Okay, we're back.
The big complaint of AEW Fight Forever was that there simply just wasn't enough content. While there was a decent amount of match types, the game just wasn't fleshed out enough and lacked a good story mode. The Road to Elite mode was meant to act as that story mode, and while it was definitely playable, it was way too short and could be completed in just a couple of hours, and while...
No, it cannot be completed in just a couple of hours. You can complete one run through the story in a couple of hours, but you will literally have only seen like 10% of the actual story mode.
This mode was advertised to have good replay value.
It does have good replay value.
And the ability to take different parts.
You can take different paths.
The mode just simply wasn't compelling enough to get players invested and
not compelling enough to you.
Wanting to replay it. As well as that,
you didn't want it. Reviewers didn't want to replay it. Fans of All Elite Wrestling, guy, I've made videos about how to get through all the different paths, and they have a lot of views on them. So you can't say people weren't compelled to replay it, because literally thousands of people were watching my videos to replay the story mode and get all the paths unlocked.
The mini games were a completely pointless addition to the game.
That's true. The mini games are pretty much entirely pointless, and they really messed up there. That is an honest mistake. That happened.
Day, I think I played about 3 of them, and I knew nobody that took the time to actually play these mini games when this game first...
I mean, I don't think this guy knows a lot of people who have played AEW Fight Forever. No one does. We don't have friends anymore. At a certain point, as adults, we just don't have friends. And we certainly don't have friends that do all the same shit that we do. Especially not as YouTubers. I don't have a lot of IRL YouTuber friends who get pre-release copies and play through video games to review them. But I assume there are people out there that load this game up every weekend and play the mini games like crazy because, I don't know, some people are wired that way.
Dropped, and the Creation Suite. Oh boy, oh boy, don't get me started on the Creation Suite. Just an absolute disgrace and completely unfinished aspect of the game. It was completely bare bones and was a farce compared to any WWE game.
I mean, true. All right, look, the Creator Wrestler thing is not good. It's not good. It should be more robust. It's annoying to me that you couldn't customize the wrestlers better. That's one of the things I really enjoyed doing with older wrestling games was customizing the wrestlers to make them look like how they look on TV. And you couldn't do that, and that's very upsetting to me.
Game creation suite, and a lack of community creations combined with how basic the creation suite was meant that the lifespan of this game had just been severely lowered. The only decent thing about the game was the gameplay itself and how the game
The only decent thing about the game was the actual gameplay. The actual game is actually great. Everything surrounding it not so much, but the game itself is fantastic.
Looked, and even that had its fair share of problems. For one, while the game looked alright and the gameplay was decent like I said, it didn't look too different from the gameplay previews that had been shown more than a year before, which makes you wonder what they were even doing in development. And as well as that, the game had a lot of glitches and exploits that weren't patched quick enough, which led to the online competitive scene for the game to die off completely, which was a shame as there was actually a decent sized community for that when the game first dropped, but their failure to address gameplay issues in time meant that they lost those players forever. What also didn't help matters is that WWE 2K23 had just dropped a few months prior to very good reviews in potentially the best WWE 2K game yet, and people would just much rather play that. I mean, why wouldn't they?
All right, this is where I fall out. It took them 3 videos to do it. I'm very impressed, sir. It took you 3 videos before you uttered the sentence, I don't see why people wouldn't just play the WWE game. Here's why I wouldn't play the WWE game. I don't watch the WWE. I watch AEW. I'm a fan of AEW. I'm not a fan of the WWE. That's why I would not just go play the WWE game. I still wouldn't, still haven't, still won't.
The gameplay was better, the game was more extensive.
Don't care.
And the creation...
This game doesn't have MJF. This game doesn't have Kenny Omega. This game doesn't have Ricky Starks. This game doesn't have Tony Storm. This game doesn't have any of the wrestlers that I actually like to interact with. So that's why. That's why I don't play the WWE game. It's not AEW. It doesn't have the music. That's even all right. Fine. You can mod in the characters and all this kind of. It doesn't have the theme. It doesn't have the look. It doesn't have the. It doesn't have the creative forces behind it. It doesn't have the AEW branding all over it. I like the AEW vibe. That's what I like. I don't like the WWE. I'm fine with it. I don't think it should be taken down. I don't think people shouldn't watch it. I think people should go to McDonald's and enjoy their McDonald's. Me, I like something a little different. So I like AEW.
Suite was light years ahead of Fight Forever and had far more replay value as a game. AEW Fight Forever's player numbers went stagnant after just a couple of weeks, and it was really no surprise. People simply got bored of the game after weeks quickly because they ran out of things to do.
Yes, it's not a live service. It's not like a surprise.
And the lack of communication and patches from the game only worsened matters. They would release their first big content update in late August that featured the brand new Stadium Stampede mode, which was AEW Fight Forever's take on a Battle Royale mode. And this game mode, when it dropped, was actually quite enjoyable and really fun. I actually made a video playing it when it first came out, but unfortunately, while it was good, it once again just wasn't enough, and there wasn't enough variety in the game mode to keep players coming back. And
oh my God, my chat's unbearable. Like, my chat has been like 50% trash this entire stream. I just had to call you guys out. Finally, you've gotten on my nerves. We're nearing the end of this stream, and I just gotta let you guys know, you've been just like 50% turds. I just gotta throw that out there. And your little snippy comment about how like Tony Storm had been in other WWE games, I don't care. You know what I meant. I mean, the AEW version of CM Punk, the AEW version of Cody Rhodes, the AEW version of Tony Storm, the AEW version of Jade Cargill. Okay? Please, don't give me that crap.
within just a couple of weeks, Any Stadium Stampede lobby you joined would just be full of bots, and in any game you joined, you were literally the only real player. Something that was found out upon release also is that AEW Fight Forever would be operating under the Season Pass model, with each Season Pass including 3 characters as well as other items such as arenas, more minigames, and more items to use in the Creation Suite, but still not enough, and these Season Passes usually go for just
I mean, like, bro comes into my chat and starts off with, AEW isn't needed anymore now that Triple H is booking WWE. What's up, Mrhartgrave? I mean, yeah, dude, you're like super clever. I'm really into what you're selling.
$20 plus, not much or anything. An absolute rip-off, and I think many fans were of the expectation that the additional characters in the game would be free DLC, but alas, no. Just no, said AEW Fight Forever. In the year that AEW Fight Forever has been out, there has been 4 season passes with 4 arenas and 16
nobody needs you to
playable
point out
characters
anything,
added to
chat.
the game, which,
I'm fine,
I
thank
guess
you.
it's okay amount of content, but it's nowhere near enough content to keep anyone invested in the grand scheme of things. Like, nobody is coming back to this game to use a character.
Hold up. Damn, dude. Damn, Goro. Now some of the good members of my chat are getting offended because they like took my comments towards them, and I don't know why they would even do that. Like, my bro Goro here is like one of my favorite people up in my chat. You know I wasn't talking about you. You know I was not talking about you. Now, anyone that says I'm being negative can just buzz right off. I don't need it, guys. I ain't here to be negative about this. I have a deep experience with this game after covering it as a content creator for a year, okay? And I'm sharing that with the world. You happen to be here live for it. That's an amazing privilege for you, okay? But I'm just saying, some of you have been low-key harassing me now for the better half of an hour. And you've been getting away with it because I've been busy. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to call you out and let you know that I see you. And then under normal circumstances, your ass would have been banned, okay? Because some of the things y'all have been saying have been crooked as hell. And no, I'm not talking to you, Goro. You're a prince. We can all see the people who are bad actors here, okay? It's not any of my regulars. Some of these wrestling fan weirdos that have stepped in here and want to mansplain stuff to me, okay? They're the ones I'm putting on notice.
That plays near the exact same as a dozen of the other characters in the game. To keep players coming back, AEW Fight Forever needed good solid game modes and just more stuff to actually do in the game itself. Stadium Stampede was a good start, but guess what? There was no updates or changes to it for nearly a whole year, and it took them that same amount of time.
I got to agree with this guy on Stadium Stampede. Like, I don't know why they actually spent time on it and released updates like after it was already dead and gone. Like, it was so weird. The development process on Stadium Stampede was all backwards. That's absolutely baffling. Everything around Stadium Stampede is absolutely baffling. It's unoffensive. They never charged for any of it. It's entirely free. Stadium Stampede is 100,000% free and it hasn't bothered anybody. It's not hurting anyone. It's just there. It's baffling. It makes no sense. But it's just sitting there. You know, it doesn't hurt anybody. He's minding his own business.
Just to add a basic ass tournament mode to the game.
I mean, they did finally add a basic ass tournament mode to the game, and they did charge you for that, and that pissed a lot of people off, and it makes sense. It pissed me off too.
Yeah, just for a tournament mode. Like, it's just hopeless. Nobody is waiting around that long for a basic game mode that you can get in any other wrestling game from the day it's released. And the fact that all the season passes total about $100 for all of it is a complete scam. $100 for some characters and maps? Give me a break. Not to mention, half the stuff they release is outdated. I'll never forget them having Timeless Toni Storm promote her DLC for her new character of her year-old gimmick.
I mean, look, it's just the way it worked. I get the perception on this from someone who doesn't understand like game development at all, would be like confused why we got regular Toni Storm. But had they halted development. I mean, this. All right. All right. Damn. All right. And maybe this is my last word on this guy because I really can't keep harping on him because we've really heard a lot from him. I feel like I know him intimately now, which I don't actually want to do. So it would have been smart of AEW Games to, instead of be fixated on new characters, just give a decent character creation mode with shareable creations so that we could make other wrestlers in the game. And focus more on alternate outfits for wrestlers so that could be done quickly. I don't actually know how much time it took them to develop alternate costumes for wrestlers, because that's what needed to be done here. Yes, you have Toni Storm in the game, but you're not able to turn it into timeless Toni Storm. How much extra development time would it have taken? I get the feeling they were so ingrained into, they were so set on, if you made a character, you couldn't just like change Stream and take Outcast Toni Storm and change it into timeless Toni Storm mid-development. They weren't able to pivot like that. And I think that's what I went back, and that's why I said the relationship between Yuke's and AEW Games was a bad one. I think the problem is that they were not agile enough. AEW Games couldn't be like, Toni Storm we had you working on? You got to change her so she looks like this. I don't think they could say that to Yuke's. My impression is that they said, Yuke's, make this Toni Storm. And they said, great, we're not going to talk to you until she's done. And that's it. And then God knows how much, what the arrangement was for new looks on wrestlers, or what that was. Because it never developed the way I thought it would. We got some new looks. Like the first time we got a big DLC patch, we got a bunch of new looks added into the game. And then I think for season 2, we got some more. And then we never got any others. And I don't know why. We never got Christian Cage with the turtleneck. We never got a lot of things that happened. We never got Scapegoat Jack Perry, right? Or even that in between, what happened between Jungle Boy and Scapegoat. We never got that. And I don't know why those things were so hard to implement. I don't know how much development work went into that and how much they would charge for that. And they just didn't have the right kind of relationship with a developer who was truly like, they needed someone who really bought in, or do it in-house. Maybe outsource the making of the characters, but in-house make sure that you can update the game to look like what's being shown on TV yourself. So far to date, AEW Games itself has developed nothing. They do nothing. They outsource all their work. So they themselves can't do anything. They have to have someone else do it. And it's going to depend on the strength of that relationship. Now, if AEW Games was in-house, then yeah, I would have more outrage about this. Maybe that's why, because I understand that there was a relationship between AEW Games and Yuke's. You can't just change Toni Storm into timeless Toni Storm mid-production. Yes, that's what should have happened. Really, it's what should have happened. But no, it's not what could happen. So that's why we got what we got, and that's the best way I can explain it to you. I don't know if I can handle more of these videos, but there's more of these videos. I've got a 13-minute one. I got a 14-minute one. But maybe I'll just wait for. I'm going to do a part 2. If there's enough fan support, if enough people want to see it, I'll do a part 2. But right now, I have to rail on my chat because it's been going unchecked now for 30 minutes, and they need to be talked to. And I have enough negativity built up in myself to power 3 neighborhoods right now. So I need to do something more positive. I need to check on some other chats that might not be as cantankerous as this one. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this live stream. Let me know down below if you would like me to review even more negative AEW Fight Forever videos. but I think I've had my fill for one day. Keep digging.
He is I and I am him, and I'm the undisputed trend Matt Taven. And this dork behind the camera, some Melvin told me to say, grave diggers keep on digging. Whatever that means.
I am AEW wrestler and Ring of Honor tag champ Mike Bennett. And remember, grave diggers keep digging, but not the monster truck. Even though my son really likes that monster truck, I kind of like Son of a Digger and Zombie. I'm going off on a tangent about monster trucks because my son really loves monster truck, but we're talking about the YouTube channel. So make sure, grave diggers, keep on digging, baby.
So this is Mark doing one happy private party, saying what up to the grave diggers and doing your thing, bro.
Alright, like, subscribe, and watch another video, or be cursed. If you're cursed, that means the grave diggers will keep digging your graves. So, you probably want to do it.